I am a huge fan of Star Trek. Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then after that comes TOS, which is the original series, and then I just finished watching the 4 seasons for Star Trek Enterprise. And the reason why I love Star Trek so much is so many reasons. It's nostalgic. It comes from an age when things were much simpler. There wasn't a lot of technology, and I think the farther back in time you go to a certain point, idealism was a real phenomenon. I think it was a real, you know, palpable, tangible phenomenon that existed because people thought that way. And if you think that way, there's many that believe that what you think becomes real. Thought creates reality. And one of my favorite movies is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's been one of my favorite movies ever since I first saw it. And I forget the guy's name, Hunter S. Thompson. I saw an interview of him later on, and he's just a wackadoodle, a wonderful, beautiful wackadoodle, actually. And I think he knew what was going on in this country, the United States, and how people are hurt and people are terrorized, and the injustice of it all. And he made a comment. I mean, I'm sure you could YouTube it, and I'm going to totally butcher it, but he said something about how the 60s and the 70s or something of that nature, there was this wave that grew and just became this huge movement. I guess he was talking about 60s free love, trying the actual ability of protesters and the people being able to move the government into doing something because we all came together. You all came together. I wasn't there. I wasn't born. And how this wave grew, and then the word he used was crested. I remember him saying that, and I was young at the time, and even to this day, I don't really understand all the westernized colloquialisms used, but he said the wave crested. It's not really a colloquialism, but I didn't know what pop was either, that was a word for soda. I had no idea. um, Crested, and then it fell. Again, those are not the words he used exactly. He used the word crested, and then the wave dissipated and started going down, and that somehow was equivalent to an analogy to how all of the people in this country or this world, I don't know exactly, and their genuine, sincere care, CARE in capital letters, came together during that period and moment in time, um, in the 60s, civil rights movement, all of it, in this wave, and then it just dissipated like a wave does. It goes up and it crests and then it comes down and crashes. And he was talking about it with such, I don't know what the right word is. It was such tender, nostalgic, painful, yet reverence and love. Like a lot of emotions, real emotions. It's a mixture, and you when somebody has them, you can feel them too, and it's amazing. And there's so much beautiful grace in it, and I think that the reason why I like Star Trek so much is because it's so idealistic, and it was made in a time when that was real. There were People were better. People did care, and people weren't so controlled by technology. We are all controlled by technology now, completely mind controlled in every single way imaginable. And um, and of course there was the character Picard, which now I know is this really truly isn't based on, I don't even think, anyone real. And what I mean by that is no one ever could be like Picard in a place of military power. Or, in other words, his character is completely fiction. No way that he could have ever been real in any situation in real life, ever. He's too perfect. He's too good, too empathetic, too. He's 100% honorable and brave and principled and empathetic and smart and poised, and add every perfect trait after that. And I watched that show and I looked up to him, and I looked up to everyone in that show. And as Gene Roddenberry's vision, I think I heard on YouTube, was that he wanted to create a show where the future was a utopia, a literal utopia. He wanted the show, his vision was to make a show that wasn't filled with Machiavellian shysters and hucksters in the background doing all these crazy things. And, he wanted that. That was his vision, and that was his legacy. One of his legacies, anyway. Who knows what his other legacies were? Um, and thank you for that. It's definitely an escape. It doesn't have hardly any gang stalking in it. I mean, nearly none. That's why I watch it, because 90% of the shows out there that I watch have gang stalking in it. And meaning, what I mean by that is media in it to try and taunt or emotionally abuse targeted individuals. And hun, it definitely exists, and it's in almost everything that I watch. Um, and and so I watch it. I keep it on all the time. But I really like Star Trek, and I think that one of the characters in there in the Star Trek the original series, Spock, he's very logical. And one point that was um, presented to me by you maggots was that presented to me, and that I have many times stated a lot, that I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't like hypocrites. Everyone's a hypocrite. No one's ever perfect, but this would be a big hypocritical thing to be if I didn't take my own advice. And that is, there's another side to this, and I'll go into it in the end, but the torture that I have endured and that targeted individuals endures is, there's no way to explain it. It's inhuman, it's inhumane, it's the pain and the suffering that is put upon us is not right. It's beyond what humans should have to endure, because they basically you maggots do this to us and then cause this pain, but then rip away our ability to process it, and therefore you are able to pile on more pain and more pain and more emotional abuse and psychological abuse. And it's gone beyond what could have been done in past years to even worse proportions. And it's, if my emotions were given back to me, I would want to rip every single one of your throats out. I know it. There's just no doubt about it. I would do it too. I know I would. If I was given the ability to do it and you reinstated my emotions, my ability to remember and feel all the pain and suffering you have caused, all the torture, all the physical and emotional torture, I know I would go to each and every one of your homes and kill each and every one of you if my emotions were reinstated. And that is not a fault of my own. It is the day in and day out torture, the sleep deprivation, the taunting, the torture with animals, insects, and people, the terror. It's not just torture; it's terrorizing. It's the realization that you've murdered family members, ripped apart my family, ripped apart my past, future, my present. The psychological pain of that is beyond what a human being can endure. And it causes so much rage and anger that I wouldn't blame anyone for going to each and every one of your homes and shooting every one of you, or just slicing you up with a fucking knife or something. I mean, the pain is unimaginable what you're doing. Nobody deserves this. And I've come to realize that torture is unacceptable, and it just really is. And you have to really, because I don't have the emotions, um, I have come to realize that it is unacceptable to do this to people. And in the same way that I know that this is so painful and so hideous and unimaginable and vile and barbaric, that's why I know I don't want it done to somebody else, if that makes any sense. And so the hypocritical part is I've always looked at Jews, Muslims, and Christians and other religions, so many, that to this day, are killing each other. Look at the Jews and Muslims. That has been eons, centuries, eons of murderous, rageful killing of each other because of cultural differences, tribalism, but mainly religion, really, and like um, territorial wars, and then also just because they've been killing each other's families for so long. Um, there's that hate, that trauma that gets passed on in your genes, which obviously has been proven happens, and scientifically, and Christians too. The Crusades, back and forth, the Catholics killing the Christians because the Christians, did this, or the Catholics killing the Templars because they were homosexuals, or because they they worshipped Baphomet or whatever I read today. Whatever the reason is, killing each other over superstition, killing each other because of gender or sexual preferences, um, it has to stop, right? And I've been saying that, like, you guys are doing the same thing, you know, blasting off missiles and doing suicide bombings, and Charlie Hebdo, can't criticize a Muhammad because you can't draw him. Whatever the crazy nonsense is, I've been saying it's madness, and I look at you and I make fun, or I sympathize, or I find it disgusting, or I pity. Whatever the emotion is, I've always just criticized, saying, how could you do this? How can you carry it on? Well, now I understand how you carry it on. The hate and the rage and the pain of you torturing me and destroying my entire life. You do deserve to die. You do actually deserve to die, because the extent of what you have done, is so heinous and so barbaric. I do believe some of you, not all of you, but some of you on the far end of the spectrum of number 10, on 1 to 10, who cause pain and torture people to death for fun or for sadism or for pleasure, I do believe you do deserve to die. I would give you, a painless death, just a peaceful, painless death, because I'd want to be humane. But overall, I've come to realize logically that, looking at Spock and Star Trek and the legacy of, this show that I love so much, but really just Spock and Data, and realizing that I don't want to be like you. That's it. I don't want to be like you. That's the number one thing. I don't want to be like you Christians, Muslims, and Jews who kill each other for your superstitious um, failings, your ignorant, superstitious beliefs. I don't want to be like you. Of course, I would never kill over a God, because I'm atheist and I don't believe in God, and yada yada yada. Thank goodness. But I don't even want to kill you, because then I would be like you. I'd want to incarcerate you and rehabilitate you to the best of my ability, in a loving and humane way, because I am better than you. I want to be better than you. I want to. I don't. If I killed and murdered all of you and used the same tactics as you, then I would be no better than you. I'd be a little bit better than you, because I wouldn't want to torture you and I wouldn't want to kill you over an ideology. But I've come to the conclusion that the cycle must stop, and I, if I had a choice, would just move on. Just move on and away from you. You know, I've always wanted to get away from people like you my entire life. That is a fact. Like, whenever I met crazy people like you, and now I realize why I met so many, because you were all surrounding me my whole life. But I just wanted to get away from you. Your energy was so toxic. I could feel your energy. It was so toxic and painful and hurtful and confusing, and just black energy. And so I just would want to get away from you. I don't want to continue the cycle, and I just want you to leave me alone. Leave me be, and I will leave you be. As long as you don't reinstate my emotions, I will not want to rip your throats out. But and part of me still thinks you kind of deserve it, but I don't want to be a part of it. I want to rise above that. So um, I don't even know what the topic of this video is, but it's essentially to say that logically speaking, it makes sense not to want to be like you, because then I'd be just perpetuating the violence cycle. And but that doesn't mean that I want to exist in this world. I think that this world is damaged and toxic and broken and quite nearly unsalvageable now because of all the technology that exists to keep everybody in chains. You can't even, a person who's innocent can't even be proven innocent anymore because their actions are carry are manipulated, and so there's just no hope of hope. But anyways, I just I don't want to carry on the cycle. I think logically it makes sense not to carry on that cycle, and I I agree that it needs to stop. I don't think that you are capable of that, and I don't, obviously, because your methodologies are so broken and damaged goods and mongrel like. But I myself choose not to be like you, as in this state, without all the emotions being held back and compartmentalized by you using your technology. As one of your maggots said to me, you use your Jedi mind tricks on me, and you don't want to know what it's like if you release those Jedi mind tricks. That was said to me, and so logically speaking, like Spock would say, it just doesn't make sense to continue the cycle of hate because I don't want to be like you. Like being like you, it literally makes my stomach turn. It makes my chest kind of get like heavy because you're so disgusting. You're so disgusting. Anything to be unlike you. So no, no coming after you. No wanting to hurt you. Incarcerate you, yes, but that's obviously not possible. As another maggot said to me, one of you maggots said to me, I'll never get justice in this world. Yeah, I realize that, and so I just want to like bow out, like leave me alone, leave me be, and that's it.